All right, guys, Boone down south here. I'm really pumped about this, guys. Oneleaf.ai sent me their Commander NV400 Eagle 2x26x50 scope. This thing is a do-all. It's got built-in rangefinder, illuminator for night vision. It films in 4K at 120 frames per second. This thing just looks amazing, guys. I can't wait to try this out. But they sent this to me to test out, so I'm gonna put it on one of my rifles. We're gonna get this thing sighted in. This is just gonna be pretty cool. I'm really excited about this. So anyway, hit that like and subscribe, guys, and keep watching. We'll tell you all about this thing. All right, guys, let's take a look at this. You can have different accessories for it. You can have the rangefinder, which is an optional piece. You can have the illuminator. You can have them both, guys. This setup has all of it, okay? So this is pretty cool. But here's some of the features down here, guys. Look at that. A couple different modes for it. Video recording, as I mentioned, 4K at 120 frames per second. You can do 60 or 30 if you want. Night vision range, 1,300 feet. Digital zoom, 13x. It's got a compass built into it. One-shot zero, guys. This is super cool, and we're going to test that out. I can't wait for that. But a lot of cool stuff in here. Picture-in-picture, where it's going to zoom in for a smaller picture-in-picture on the target that you're looking at. Multiple reticle options, different screen aspects. I'm really excited about this. IP67 rating, so you can stay out there while it's misting, raining, whatever, with this thing. So let's open this thing up and take a look at what comes in a box. All right, guys, let's open this thing up here. See what we got in the box. I mean, this is a digital thing, and also there's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to have to review before we start using it. So got a little information packet there. Let's see here. It's like, oh, look at that. Oh, man, that's a beauty. Comes with a 2-year warranty. Awesome. Look at this thing. This thing is unreal, y'all. Let's see what we got in here. Battery charger here for sure. Some different covers here, it looks like. What we got here? Looks like some different extensions. We're gonna have to read up on all these pieces here. That's battery cover. Let's take a look at this thing. Ooh, this is a behemoth here. Look at this. Wow. This thing looks kind of amazing here, y'all. Wow. Very cool. Let's see here what we got here. We got ring mounts with it for fits a Picatinny rail. Got some extra O-rings. Looks like Allen wrenches for adjustments. Charging cables. Looks like we got here. So yeah. So we're gonna take our time, read over the instructions on this thing, make sure we know what we're doing with it, see how we're gonna get it mounted. But I'm thinking this is gonna be one heck of a scope to use. Hey guys. I just spent like an hour setting all this stuff up to really show you features of this Commander NV400 scope by Oneleaf.ai. It is really an amazing scope, a lot of technology in the scope, and to really show you its full extent, I've got had to run extension cords out here, get a TV hooked up beside me over here, film the TV so you can see exactly what's on the scope display. I get everything all set up after an hour, getting everything just so, get target set up, everything set up, and my neighbor fires up a chainsaw. What the heck? So y'all gonna have to bear with me with this chainsaw sound. We're gonna take a look at this Oneleaf.ai scope, the NV400. I've been using it on my 30-06. I initially set it up on my 30-06 and have been using it on that, trying that out. It did a really good job on that. I decided I want to move it over to my 223. So I've got a Smith & Wesson MP15 here that I put this on. I haven't shot this at all with this. I've got a target down at 50 yards, and I'm just hoping to hit the target to start with. One of the coolest features about this scope is a one-shot zeroing. Super cool, guys. So there's a scope that you might want to use on different rifles, if you will, and move it from one place to the other. And normally you wouldn't want to do that with a rifle. You get a scope lined up on a rifle, you don't want to touch it, right? You don't want to touch it because even just how much you tighten the base plates and the scope ring mounts and stuff will affect that thing. And so you're gonna have to re-sight in every time you move a scope. With this scope, you know, it's got a one-shot zero. So you can take that shot and then set the zero, and it'll electronically, digitally, if you will, fix your zero for you. So that second shot's gonna be right on. I've tested this out a few times and it works. It's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the scope and I'm going to show you how to operate it. We're going to go through the menu. I'm going to film the whole thing so you can see what it all looks like and everything, and then we'll show you how the one-shot thing works and show you some of the features on this scope. All right, guys, so we're looking at this thing. First of all, I'm shooting in daylight. There's 3 different modes. There's daylight, there's nighttime, and like mid-light, if you will, when it's at low light condition. And so you do have some different things you put on here. This is screwed on for daylight. It kind of limits some of the bright light coming into this thing. In certain modes, you have this on. Daylight, you'd have it on. Some mode you take it off. Some mode you open the cap up, depending on, you know, how bright it is outside. This is really your focus ring right here. You're going to have your battery compartment here. This is your secondary battery. Your backup battery compartment is in here. There's 2, I believe, Samsung batteries, lithium-ion batteries already in the scope, and those will get charged. And then there's a backup battery that goes down into this. There's 2 different size caps, so you can fit 2 different size backup batteries. That's one thing to think about when using this kind of scope, guys, right? It's all digital. So if your batteries go out, you got no scope. So just keep that in mind. Right here, we've got a rangefinder attached to it. There's also an IR emitter for night shooting, and I don't have that sitting on this setup right now, but we'll show that to you later. You got your power on switch here. You've got your menu and OK controls here. You could tap on this, if you will, for the menu and different functions. You've got your modes, you know, video or photo. You've got your different settings here, your daylight settings and whatnot. You got your brightness levels. You can do a picture-in-picture, and I will show you that. It's super cool. Here's your diopter adjustment, just to adjust for your eyes, if you will. And then we got a couple different sizes of eye relief caps right here on this thing. Let's fire this thing up and show you what this thing looks like when it comes up on the screen. Okay, so as we boot this thing up, I just want to let you know this monitor is a 32-inch TCL. I think it's only 720p, so what you're seeing on this monitor from this video camera is not as good as what I see in the scope. Okay, now my neighbor is running his Bobcat. So that's your boot up process now. You're going to see a couple things on the screen here. This is my zoom range right here. It does calibrate, you know, if you're angled or tilted or whatnot. It does have a compass built into it. You've got a lot of choices of reticles that you can use, so it's pretty cool, and there's a lot more things that we can do with this thing. All right, to access the menu, you're going to come up here and you're just going to press and hold the button down, and your menu will pop up. You will rotate this wheel to basically scroll through your different options that you've got, and there's 4 pages of options here, by the way. If you keep scrolling down, it's going to keep changing pages. Quite a lot of options here, guys, that you've got for your settings on this thing. We'll get back to the beginning here. And basically, if you want to select, for instance, reticle type, while reticle type selected, you will just tap the button. It'll pull up your options, and then you can use your scroll wheel to change the size, what kind of reticle that you want to see. Lots of choices there. Just tap on it, give it a second, and then let's say I want to go down and change my reticle color. I tap on that. We could adjust it to green if we wanted to by tapping on it. I like red myself. For my eyes, it shows up a lot better. We've got a number of different things as we go down this menu here. And one of them is a ballistic parameter. If you know the ballistics of your particular bullet, the group, coefficient, all that good stuff, and you can find this stuff usually on the box that the bullets come in. You might have to go to the manufacturer's website, but you can go in and put in all this data, and then when you're shooting and you're aiming at something with the rangefinder kicked in, and let's say you sighted it at 50 yards and now you're shooting something 150 yards, well, right, it's going to have a different point of impact. With the ballistics, it will show you in the scope where that point of impact will be, so you can adjust appropriately instead of just aiming for the crosshair. So that's pretty cool, and you can have that on or off. And I'm going to do a long press to come back. All right, now I want to show you this thing right here, this FFP versus SFP. Right now it's an FFP. And I'm going to show you what that does. But first, I got to show you something. When you're looking through the scope, without the menu, turning this knob is your zoom. So let's take a look at that real quick. Let me get out of the menu here. So here on my target, my zoom is 1. And now I'm zooming. Now, notice I'm zoom level 3. And as I zoom, notice my reticles get larger and larger and larger. That's because of the mode we're in. All right, as I go down, they're going to get smaller. So let's take a look at that and go back to the menu for a minute. If we come down here and we change it to SFP mode, all right, it's going to act differently. So now I'm going to exit the menu, and you got to give it time. When you hold it down, just give it a few seconds, let go. Now watch what happens when I do the same kind of zoom. Zoom level 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice that the reticle stays the same size, but I just kind of want to show you that. So that's just kind of an option. So let's jump back into the menu. If we look through here, you've got some different settings that you can have for to align your range marker. You've got some ISO sensitivity, which has to do with the filming and the pictures. This will do video and it will take pictures, which is kind of cool when you're hunting, right? You can change your units here to yards or meters, whatever you prefer. You can change your screen aspect ratio. I like the 16:9. You do have some options to go to 4:3 or go to small. I like the 16:9 view. Again, you have options for movie mode. You can do 4K at 30 frames a second, 60 frames a second. You can go all the way up to 120 frames a second. So that really gives you some good video footage there. The photo resolution, you know, you've got options. Look at this, all the way to 48 megs on the photo resolution. So that's pretty darn incredible. Your movie clip time, that's just how long it's going to run before it cuts off. You've got an auto record feature so that when it kicks up, it starts auto recording. And I've got that off. Sound, you got exposure. So depending on the daylight, the kind of light that you have, this kind of gets into the photography and videography. And most of the time you don't have to fool with this stuff when you're out there, but you know, you can adjust your exposure, if you will. If it's too dark, you can brighten it up. If it's too bright, you can, you know, darken things down a little bit. So you can kind of play with that. Same with metering. It's all about the photography aspect and videography, how it's going to meter the light and so forth. You can change your brightness of what shows up, contrast, saturation, all those kind of things. Adjust the increment of your magnification. If you want to have a slower magnification, you can set it to 0.2. So as you turn the knob, it's only going to go up 0.2 increments at a time versus one full zoom level at a time. I've got it set to 1. You have the option of a red dot, whether you want button backlight, so it can be on, how bright you want that LCD to be on your eyes. Now here's the next really cool thing, is the PIP, picture in picture. I'm going to show you what that does now, because this is super cool. So when you go to turn this thing on, what you're going to get is a zoomed in picture at the top of your screen, and it's basically showing you, you know, a zoomed in version of what you're looking at. When I come in and I'm looking at that target, see, I've got it zoomed in at the very top where my reticle is pointing. So that's pretty cool. And you can see your, you know, your reticle marker on the top target zoomed in. So that's a pretty cool feature there. Let's go back to the menu now. All right, here's your mode: day, starry, and night. And so again, day is your bright light, night is your middle of the night, starry is kind of like your twilight. And that really adjusts, again, back to the photography kind of functionality of it, the settings it's gonna use. Also, you know, what kind of cap you need to have on there to filter light or let more light in, so forth. You've got some different things you can do, display with it. You can calibrate your compass. It's got a gyroscope built in. You can calibrate that. Decide whether you want the date and logo on there, the date format you're using. You know, here in the US, we are month, day, year. We'll set that. You've got some clock settings. Again, just setting your clock to whatever the day it happens to be, and then you can format the SD card. There's a built-in SD card in this, and so with that you can basically, you know, all your video is going to film on there. You'll be able to pull it off the scope. Then of course you got your options to format your SD card. You got version card info. There are firmware upgrades to this at times, and then you can reset this whole setup. I'm going to go ahead and take a shot with this and get out of the menu here, put the magazine in, and then we will take a shot. I'm not even sure if it's going to hit the paper. It's not bore-sighted. Hopefully it'll hit the paper somewhere, and when it does, we will show you the one-shot zeroing, how that works, because that's a really cool feature of this thing. Let me go ahead and take a shot here and see what happens, and then we'll get back to you. But we're going to film everything on that screen so you see exactly what I see looking through the scope. Now this thing is, you know, does do video, and I could just video this whole thing, but what you're going to get in the video file, you're not going to see everything I see through the scope. By setting it up on this TV screen here, the monitor here, you see everything I see in the scope. Exactly what I see is what you're seeing by looking on this TV screen that's hooked up to it. Okay, now I don't know if you can see this, but it definitely hit the paper. So let me zoom in, let me see you see that. That's a good thing. There is the shot. Okay, so it was down low. Let me put it on that bigger target there. See, it's down low. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna turn the PFP off just so we can see that whole screen without that getting in our way. And I'm gonna show you how to do this 0-1. So that was my first shot with the scope on this rifle. And obviously it's not on. The one-shot 0 is what we're gonna use to get this thing on. So hang tight. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is turn the PFP off. So let's do that. And I can turn that off right there. I'm gonna go to, whoops, shot 0. I'm gonna select that. And it tells you down at the bottom that you're gonna move the red reticle to the bullet hole while keeping the white reticle on your point of aim. Then you're gonna press the camera button and that will enter your save information for the ballistics on here. I'm gonna hold this up and I'm gonna start making adjustments to that, and you'll see on the screen what I'm doing. So once again, I messed up on this part when I was setting it up on my 30-06 because I moved the wrong one, okay? And I'm like, oh, that's way off. So you gotta read the directions, dummy, right? The red reticle goes to the bullet hole. The white stays on the point of aim. So I'm gonna put the white on the target and move the red to my thing. Let's show you what this looks like now, okay? All right, so you see how I'm moving the white or the red over? So if you're not careful, you end up going the wrong way and you're getting confused because the white needs to be where you want to be. Now I'm going to move it down. Once you move it horizontally, tap the button again, okay, and it'll let you move it vertically. And now I really need to zoom in to see this better. So I need to put the zoom on in order to really see what's going on there. It helps when you're zoomed in to do this. Let's bring up the menu again. Shot 0. All right, now let's take a look at this now. So now you can see the target, and now we're going to start moving the red over. I feel like I got it pretty close. Now I'm going to tap it, and now I'm going to move the red one down where we're at to where the bullet hole is. Pretty close, gotta go a little further. It's pretty close right there. All right, so while that's done, I'm gonna press the button on top for the video camera to save that position. When you go to do this, you can save it in different positions, so you could actually save a position for each rifle you put this on. So I'm gonna just select one that is successfully saved now at this point. So now I'm gonna get out of here, get out of the menu again. I'm gonna go ahead and take another shot now, and it should be closer to on. Now I'm using an old, really cheap plastic bipod up here. I don't have this on a rest, so it's gonna be, you know, close. But let's get another shot in here and see what happens. Shoot it one more time, just double check this thing. All right, so you can kind of see that I definitely moved my point of impact, and if you want, now you can go a little closer. Obviously I'm shooting to the left right now, and if you want to do it a second time, you can do that, but I was kind of roughing it. It would have been more accurate when I did my 30-06. I was actually sitting on a rest where this was totally solid, where I could line things up. I'm just kind of hand holding it, if you will, with the bipod. But you can see how that got it pretty close right there, into the target there. I'm just a little high and to the left is where I'm at right now. And you can kind of see how that 1-0 works. Gonna pop my mag out. And pop. All right. Show you a couple other things on here. We got a laser rangefinder on here. So again, that same button up top here, it's the OK menu button that I was holding long press to pull up the menu and then short pressing to select items. When you're not in the menu, if you short press it, it brings up the rangefinder. All right, so with the rangefinder, if I just short press it, see that little box that comes in right there? It's just to the upper right of the red crosshair there. That's where it's going to show you the range. It's hard to see on this background here, but you can see it's in white right there. If I come over to something like this, see it? Now you kind of see it on this. Maybe you can see it on the screen better than what I can see through the scope here. But it's showing that it's like 20 yards to that stand I've got in front of me. Here's an archery target. You can see that's 23.4 yards. And if I move it back over to here, It's just a hair over 50 yards, like 52 yards is what you're seeing on the rangefinder. So that's a pretty cool indicator what you got. Now what you see, that other green box that's moving down, that is based on the ballistics. So now I'm obviously pointing further away. I'm at 78 yards, looks like 87 yards. And notice that green square box below the crosshairs. That is my point of impact based on the ballistics. Now it's not correct because I haven't put the ballistics into here. But I set up my 30-06 that way. And sure enough, when I would line it up to say 200 yards after sighting in 100 yards, that ballistics box would show me where my point of impact would be instead of going straight with the the crosshair hatch, right? It calculated that based on, and if you notice, as I come in closer, it moves closer to the point, and as I go further away, okay, I'm gonna go further down the hill here, and everything behind me, there's a hill on the other side. It's all my property. There's nothing over there. I know it's safe where we're pointing this thing, but you'll notice that hatch is further down. As I get 105 yards, say there, it drops down. So you kind of see how that works, right? That's a pretty cool feature, right? There's no guessing of like, okay, well, 200 yards, how high am I? How low should I shoot? It just shows you right there in the reticle, on the display, where do you need to point, right? Where do you need to put your point of impact? So that's a pretty cool feature right there. All right, so one thing I want to point out to you is right now, the sun has gone down behind the trees. So I don't have as much daylight as I had before. I still have the tube on the front that they recommend for daylight. But I'm seeing things pretty darn clear through here. And I'll just zoom out to there's a tree and a tree tube out there. I'm gonna zoom into that and let you kind of see. And also notice that the green box, how it's gonna go down as I zoom in farther out, because it's gonna change the point of impact based on the distance, and that's basically the ballistic calculator built in. But again, it's not accurate right now because I haven't set any parameters up. I haven't put the coefficient of the bullet and all that kind of stuff in here that I'm using. Just to kind of give you an idea of what that does. Let's go ahead and zoom in as I head on out there, getting further out. And you can see right now, that's a 13x zoom, and it's looking pretty good. There was a deer down there, no problem seeing that. We're getting into that low light situation. These cameras obviously make it, the cameras are at a point where they make it seem like it's brighter than it really is, but we're getting into that lower light. There's still plenty of light left, but there's still some lower light now. This thing has plenty of light in it, and it's looking good, right? So we'll see what it does with the IR emitter on there. Here is the IR emitter. Here's what that looks like. There's 3 different levels of brightness. There's a zoom range on it as well. So we're going into night mode now, of which you want to take the caps off the front. So there's a lot of light coming in, and we'll show you what that looks like. All right, we're in night mode, guys, and you can see that's looking pretty good. There's the feeder down there. Zoom in. Definitely have no problem shooting something with that. This is without the IR emitter right now. Go ahead and turn that on, see what it looks like. All right, now I've got low power light emitter, and I can turn that up in power. All right, that's the highest power light emitter right now. Zoom down on that light a little bit to kind of show you what's. So you get the light. Let me back out on the zoom. You kind of see a little better here. So that's my light zoomed in on high power, and I can spread my light out as I need to across where I'm looking. Kind of see how this looks. The camera here. Oh yeah. There's our P&P. See my crosshairs up there for that. So if you had a pig down there at the feeder, you want to line it up on it, you don't have to necessarily zoom in, but you got the light sitting on them, and you go see your crosshairs in that picture-in-picture and take a shot. All right, guys, just want to wrap this up for you. You know, I've been shooting this Commander NV400 scope for a little while now on 2 different rifles. It's pretty cool, I got to tell you. It's pretty cool, but I just kind of want to throw out the pros and cons to you. You know, if you're into high tech and you want to fool with some cool features and stuff, then this is the way to go. It's super cool, the things it does. If you're doing night hunting, this would be great for that. If you're going after hogs or coyotes or varmint or predator hunting and at night, another great scope for this kind of thing. It is really cool. I mean, the one-shot setup and everything, and just the amount of options you have just is just a ton of stuff that you can do, as you saw through all the menu. And I didn't go into detail every little thing. It would have took us a couple hours to do that. But, you know, it is a how you want to say, it's a technology type scope. This isn't your regular scope. So there's some time you'll need to spend in the manual, going over things, familiarizing yourself with this. And it's just one of those things that a lot of stuff you don't have to mess with, like all the photography settings. Most of the time, the auto setting that it's gonna use is gonna be good enough for what you want. But if you really want to key in on taking better photos or videos, then you can start playing with that kind of stuff. But it's a learning curve there, especially if you're not somebody that knows photography well. If you're somebody that wants to try to film your hunts, you know, I film a lot of the hunts that I do, but I'm using a bunch of recording gear and whatnot. But I don't rifle hunt a whole lot. But if I was, you could film your shots with this, right? Because it's recording in 4K at 120 frames a second. So you just pop your micro SD card out, pop it in your computer, load it up. And again, like I said, you won't see everything that you saw on the TV screen because it gets rid of some of the labels and all that kind of stuff when it's just filming the video for you, right? So that's why I put it on screen so you can see all the activity of what I was doing, what I saw on the scope. And I do want to reiterate, what you saw on that screen, that was a 720p screen that was basically blown up to, I think it's 32 inches, I think I said it was. You know, you're looking at a much higher resolution in here. Everything looked better in the scope than what happened on the screen, and then using a video camera to film that screen. So I lost a lot of resolution filming that in that method, but I wanted you to see everything. Yeah, so now a couple downsides to this is if this isn't something you're going to use very often, you're not going to have that familiarity to it, right? So if you just use it once or twice a year, you're going to, by next year, you're going to forget, what do I do? It's not, you know, a regular scope, right? You just pick it up. Anybody can pick that thing up. They know it's sighted in, boom, 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 right? This is not a regular scope, right? It's a high-tech scope, and it needs those batteries. Now that's the biggest con I see. You take this hunting, it's digital. There are 2 lithium-ion batteries inside the scope body that are rechargeable. You recharge through here. And then there's a backup battery, and there's 2 different sizes you can use in here that come with it. Now, having said that, if something happens and your batteries die, you're done, okay? Because it's digital. It's not going to work without the batteries. So, you know, you don't have that problem with a regular scope. So you got to think about that. You know, if you just, you know, if you got your own property and you're just doing a lot of varmint hunting, this is a great nighttime thing. Let's go out and do that. And if you forget to charge your batteries one night, no big deal. But let's say you're going to go out on a hunt out west somewhere, and you're taking this with you because you want to film your hunt and whatnot. Now you got to think about things, right? Like, I better charge this thing every night. It takes about 5 to 6 hours to get a full charge. You're going to want to rely on having that fully charged every day hunt. So if you're going on a 5-day hunt and you're somewhere out west, you got to make sure that wherever you're at, you remember to bring your rifle in, plug it up, because you don't want to take the scope on and off. I mean, yeah, you got a one-shot zero, but still, you don't want to have to do that every day, right? You're on a hunting trip. You focus on hunting. It should be on. So, you know, you're going to have to bring this in, make sure you plug it in, make sure you charge it, keep it charged. So it's a little bit of a headache there from that perspective, but if this is what you want to do, that's what you got to do, because any of the scopes that are like this, that's the thing you got to go through. But you just got to keep in mind that, again, it's not a regular scope, so battery's dead, you're gone. And that's really the biggest con. There is some weight to this thing. It puts a little bulk on your rifle, if you will. You will be the talk of the group when you get there and you pull this thing out, though, because it looks super cool. It definitely gets a 5-star rating on a super cool look factor. So anyway, if this is the kind of thing that floats your boat, check it out. We got a discount link below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.